I don't want to refer to any one of the record. I don't want to create any one of the record. I want to refer to any one of the existing record. What was my intention? My intention was to refer one of the record in the table and display it. Now it is a display format. We call it as output field. When I said input field, I was entering the data from the page and the data is going to the corresponding S object. Now my intention was fetch the data from the table, and display the data in the page. How will you display the data on the page? Okay, to do that, we are going for a concept of output field. Let us look at this concept. We are going to give output field. Now, what is the object you are referring to? S object. What is the S object you are referring to? Account. Let us say account S object. Then we had apex form, apex page block, account dot. What is the name we are printing? Account name is a title. Within the page block, I have apex section, title equal to then I was giving a output field value. Previously we have taken input field. Now I was giving output field. Output field, account dot name, output field value equal to account dot writing. Account dot ownership. So this is how we are trying to display the data. So in the previous example, we have taken input field where I was supposed to enter the data, but here, whereas when I am going to this, somewhere extra I can, but whereas in this case, I was not entering the data from VF page, whatever the data we have in the S object, I want to get that record and display it. Now here, I am not entering the data. Here, I want to fetch the data and I want to display it. But the question here is, in the table, I have 1000 records. Out of the 1000 records, which record you are planning to display? When you said account dot name, which account? When I say account dot name, which account you want to display? There are 1000 records in the table. Out of the 1000 records, which record you want to display? I am not sure. Because when you say account dot name, which account name is that? There are 1000 records. Out of the 1000, which particular account are you trying to display? We are not sure about it. To understand this, we need to know ID of the record which you want to display. Right now I have not written any Apex programming, so I am going to give hard-coded value. Because I didn't write any Apex code, I am giving the ID of the record hard-coded. Straight away I am entering the ID. So how do you open any record? If you want to open any record, salesforce.com/. Now, how do you pass the ID of the record? If you want to pass ID of the record, how do you pass? If you want to pass any parameters in the URL, now, how do you open a VF page? No. /Apex/ this is a way. If you want to pass parameter, question mark. Just example I am giving. If you want to pass multiple parameter, how do you pass multiple parameters? salesforce.com/Apex/ page name question mark ampersand. So if you want to pass multiple parameters, you are going to separate them by parameter 1 equal to value ampersand parameter 2 equal to value. So how do you pass? Page name question mark page name question mark your parameter equal to value. If you want to give multiple, page name question mark parameter equal to value ampersand parameter equal to value. I hope you are good with this. Okay. Now let us take this way. Final preview. Page name ID equal to. So what I am doing? If I pass the ID of the record, whatever the ID we have passed, take the data from the particular ID and display it. Whatever the ID of the record you have passed, take the data from the particular ID and pass the data. Output field, we want to display the data. Which record data you want to display? Whichever the record ID we are passing in the URL, whichever the record ID we are passing in the URL from that particular record, take the data and display it. Whichever the record ID we are passing in the URL, whichever the record ID we are passing in the URL, take the data and display the data. Take the data from the particular record and display the data. Again I repeat, whichever the record ID we are passing in the URL, that particular record data we are taking and we are trying to display in the VF page. Output field, it will display the data. Output field, it will display the data. Now, while you are displaying the data, I was giving an option here. Look at this. Apex. Inline, edit. What is the option I give? Inline, edit support. What was this inline edit support? Inline edit support. Look at the point. Generally, if I want to modify a particular value in this field, in the record, particular value in the field I want to modify. If I click on edit, entire page is reloading. Now I don't want to modify entire page. I want to modify only number of locations. Only one particular field I want to modify. When you want to modify one particular field, why are you loading entire page again? When you want to modify one particular field, why are you loading entire page again? Why are you loading entire page again? Go and click on the field, enter the data, save it. That's called inline edit. We are clicking on the field and we are able to modify the value of the field. So go back to the page again. Open. Look at this. Are you able to modify? When I try to modify, if it is a pick list, I have to get a pick list. This option is called as what? Inline edit support. Output field will support inline edit support functionality. I can click on the field, straight away I can modify. When I click on the field, if it is a required field, becomes a required. If it is a pick list, becomes a pick list. Which means output field also obey all the properties of a field. Output field also will obey all the properties of a field. I hope you got my point. So what is the purpose of output field? In case you want to display the data from any S object, if you want to display any data from S object, if you want to display data from S object, then we will take output field. Whenever I say output field, it will respect all the properties of the field, right? Output field will support inline edit functionality. Output field will support inline edit functionality. What do you mean by inline edit? I can click on the field and I can modify it. I can click on the field, I can modify the functionality. I hope you are good with this. People have followed? People have followed this functionality? Right. Yes, sir. We can write, wherever you write, whatever the elements are there in the inline edit support, we get the functionality. You can write within the page block or within the page block section. Wherever you write, whatever the elements that are there in the page, okay, inline edit support, for those elements we get the functionality. Now for entire section I want, so I wrote outside. When we use, just now I answered him. Right. I'll cover it one by one. Right. Now create a page. See, if some attribute I am asking to hold, it requires some additional concept to cover. Okay. So if I am keeping that attribute pending, that means it has some other concept to be covered to explain that concept. You need to wait. Right. In the Apex page, we need to cover a standard controller. Why? Because to know standard controller, you should know what are the functionality. Apex page take controller also. We need to cover the Apex classes, so we are pending. So every concept will come. Don't be excited or worried about we will be covering or not. Everything will be covered in a sequence order. There are some dependencies. Once the dependencies are covered, we will be coming back. Okay. Right. Come back. Now go back to the next one. Now all of you refer to this page, everyone. Generate the page in this format. Now get back to the story here. Now whichever the account name is there, that account name should be displayed. If it is Wipro, Wipro should come. If it is Wipro, Wipro should come. Capital info, capital info. This is not straight away name, record name. Whichever the account I have taken, that particular account name we are giving. Now title, subtitle is what? The name of the account. Name of the account. Build this example, all of you. This is how I need the data. This is the page. So we are giving account, name of the account is Captain Info. Account, name of the account is Captain Info. Page block buttons, page block buttons, page block section. Under the page block section, we are displaying name, phone, type, industry, rating, ownership. And we need inline edit functionality for this. We need inline edit functionality for this. We need inline edit functionality for this. So, what is the subtitle? Account name. Subtitle value is account name. We want the name of the account to be displayed as subtitle. Now, page block. What is the title? Name of the account. Name of the account should be given as a title of page block. Start building this, Amma. Everyone make an attempt of writing. Meanwhile, if online people you have any queries, go ahead, Amma. Anyone from online has any queries on this? Go ahead with your questions. Anyone from online has any queries on this? Okay.
Hi, Satish.
Yes.
Yesterday you told like some fields don't use these fields.
Come again, Amma. I didn't get you.
Yesterday you said account fields, some fields are there, right? We cannot use in.
There's a concept called field set, Amma. Okay. Now, when you say address, it is not a single field. It includes city, street. There is a couple of fields they have given. All these fields together, they are referring as address. Now, this is a concept of field set. There is a concept called field set. When we learn that, we will show you how to display those fields. Okay. Now it's a set, like you got here, salutation. Now you want to display this as a set. In some of the cases, all the three are referred as name. All the three together is called as name. If they're not okay, if they want to display all the three. Otherwise, they don't want to display all the three. Then this is called field set. Name field set, which is a combination of three fields. Address field set, combination of cities. So if they'll display, all the three will be displayed. Otherwise, they will not display any one of it. Like that, group of fields referred with one name. There's a concept called field set. When we learn that, I'll be showing you how to display that field. Okay. Come back. Any other queries? So what is the object you are referring to? Whichever the object data you want to refer, whichever the S object data you want to refer, that S object is referred as fx section title subtitle. The subtitle what I was giving, account dot section header. Page block. Then I had page block buttons. Now title I was supposed to give what? Account dot title, account dot. Then I have page block is equal to command button value equal to delete. Now I was supposed to give inline edit support, so I am giving inline. You want for entire section? You want for entire section? Then you can give it. Now you want only for one element? Only put that element in the inline edit support. For which element you want inline edit support? Entire section or only particular element? They are told title, collapsible equal to false. Output field now name industry, because 1 2 output field value equal to account dot name phone rate. Then we had then. So what was that field here? Page block buttons. This is how we got it. There's some bug here. Where is the line? Buttons. It was missing. Right. This is how we create. Then have a preview. Right, Amma? Code is, everyone is good with the code? Everyone is good with the code? So section header, form, page block. The page block we had, page block buttons. Then I have taken inline edit support, page block section. In the section I give output field. Whenever we are saying output field, we are getting a label of the field plus value. When you say output field, it is not only printing the value, it is also giving label, name of the field label and also the value. Come back to the story here. It is giving the field label value. How do you get the value? Pass the ID of the record. How do you get the value? Pass the ID of the record. We are getting the ID of the record. Right? How are you getting the value? We are getting the ID of the record and communication. I hope you are good with this. Now look at the main story. Right. Now question. The people asked about mode. Look at this example. Now, when I am displaying the fields, we are getting the lines here, right? I told you. If you go to the page block section, look at the point. I was giving page block section. The same data I was taking a instead of output, I was taking input field. Right. And I was taking one more page block section. Then I was referring. When you learn the concept of page block, we display the data like this. Initially, we are not covered the concept of input field and output field. You don't have. When you don't have the concept of input field and output field, this is how we display the data. Am I right? Page block name. When you are learning the concept of page block, how did you print the body? In the page block concept, we just printed the body, last name, first name, for. We don't have any standard controller. We don't have any concept of. Okay, standard controller, page block section are input fields or output fields. We just give like this. Go to this. Have a preview. Now when you look at this, when are you getting these lines? Only when I took the fields, we are getting the lines. When I went for the concept of input field and output field, then we are getting the lines. So when you get the lines, we can explain the concept of mode. There is a reason the mode was stopped at the time of displaying the page block. Now if you want to understand this example, you have to know what are these lines are. When the lines are coming, right? There is a reason to stop. Now I will explain your concept. Listen here. Now we are getting this. Now, what is the output we are getting here? Look at the point. Lines we are getting, right? When you are trying to display the fields in the page block section, we are going to get a lines. When you are trying to refer to the fields, which fields? Output field or input field? If you take input text or output text, if you are referring to any particular field, you are trying to display them with the help of input field or output field, input text or output text, then the scope of getting the lines. At that time, we are giving here mode equal to detail. When I said mode equal to detail, reload the page. Now, look at this line. We are getting the mode equal to detail. What is the next functionality we had here? Main detail. Then we have edit. Here we had mode equal to detail. We have mode equal to main detail. Now look at the structure here. I will try to display one more page block here. So go back to this. Column number 22. What was that? Page block section. What was the bug here? Mode. We are supposed to give the mode here. It's okay. 1 minute, Amma. I just made a stuff here. This was supposed to be given it. Okay. Where was the mode? Here I given. What was the mode we have taken here? Material. So I am taking one more page block here. The same story I am repeating once again. One more time I am taking. 3 blocks I have taken. First let us see. First block I have taken mode equal to detail. Second block I am trying to take. Main detail. Third one I have taken here. Right. When you go back and look at the output, now look at this. Now what is the difference that you are finding between this and this? Output field, we are getting a lines. Input field, we are getting a lines. If you take a straight away data, there is no output. We cannot show it there. Even though mode equal to detail, we cannot show it there. That is the reason we are not covered that mode concept when you are going with a basic page block. Now we are getting a output field and input field. Now we are able to see the lines here, right? In between that, we are getting a lines. This is a mode equal to detail. Next one, we went to mode equal to main detail. When you want to go to mode equal to main detail, something was missing here. I have not changed the value. I have changed the value, I guess. Mode equal to 1 minute. I guess kept the heading. I didn't change the main detail. Three sections again. Now go back to the page. Look at the section what you are getting. Now this is the page block with the mode equal to detail. When you say mode equal to detail, background color is coming as gray, and we are getting the lines between the rows. Lines between the rows. When are you getting the lines? If you are using any fields with the output field or input field. Here also I was displaying account.name, account.phone, but there is no use. Only when you are trying to refer the fields using input field, output field, input text, output text. There are two more concepts. Because people ask me, I introduced the concept detail here, but this will be coming for input text and output text also. When the page block section contains input field, input text, output text, then what we are going to get? Lines. When you say main detail, we are getting the same, but what is happening? Background color is white. Same, this and this both are same, but only difference is background color is white. Then if you go to edit mode, what are you getting here? When you go to edit mode, there is no lines between the elements. I give input field, output field, input field, output field. Are we getting any lines here? We are not getting any lines here. The elements are not supported. Input fields are not supported with the lines. Now we are just getting page block with the corresponding. Now here the basic info. There. We are getting there because the mode was edit and we are not getting any lines with this. Now how do you get this edit required? Here Now I want the same lines, but I want a required here to be displayed. Because now always I don't want the page to be like this. How I want? I want the page to be like this. In this page I want to get a required. How do you get? again we need to go for some CSS. That's all. In every case, we don't get required. Okay. If I want to go with the required, then if I give it as a mode, I am losing the basic syntax. Now, if I give mode equal to edit, I am not getting the lines. Then, if you want to get the lines, what should you do? CSS. If you are going with the mode equal to main detail, but you are not getting a required. If you want to get required, what should you do? So, in all the context, we don't get the required. So, we need to see which combination required. So, out of these, which is important for us? You want the lines or you want the okay, if it is the lines, apply the lines, then apply the CSS to get the message here. Right, Amma? Are you getting a point? Okay. So this is the concept of mode equal to detail, mode equal to main detail, mode equal to edit. Now, any functionality is changing? Functionality was any change? No change in terms of functionality. Only the difference is in terms of display. While you are displaying, we got background color with lines, which is separating the fields. Background color white with lines. Edit, no lines. But in all the three cases, if I straight away give, what was this? No difference here. No difference here. No difference here. Right? So if you want to see these differences, we need to go for a concept of input field or output field. Then only you find the differences. Right? Right, Amma? Fine?
Satish, even the collapsible is not working for edit, right?
Come again? 1 minute, Amma.
For
1 minute. Again, the same story. Just now I answered. Supporting attributes are there, I'll cover it. I cannot repeat the same thing number of times. Okay. Now I told if any attribute is not there, the supporting functionality is there. Once the supporting functionality is there, I'll be covering it. Don't worry. Okay. Don't repeat the same thing again. Right. Okay. Now this guy has asked me a question now. Let us see. Now we are given is asking about why collapsible bar is not supported here. We have taken a page block section. Here. It was that our page. Yeah. Look at the point. So here I gave page block section, title we gave input, page block section, title we gave basic info, page block section, title basic example. Now what is the mode we gave here? Edit. Now when you go to the edit mode, are we getting this collapsible? We are not getting the collapsible. Okay. So basically, when you go to the mode equal to edit, we are not getting the collapsible. It's another difference what we are finding here. Okay. So come back to the story here. She has one more question. Let me finish that. Now let me go with one of the record. We need a record for this. Go with the last option. What is the last option you have taken here? Now look at this. To differentiate this, I will remove this. Because I was giving inline edit support there, doesn't mean is it going to provide inline edit support? Let me give here. On the top I give inline edit support, we are getting the inline edit support. Now let us go back. So look at the structure. What are you getting here? What are you getting here? Now if you go with this, now look at the point. Last session what we have taken, did I give inline edit support option here? in the page block, did I use inline edit support? I gave output field. I gave output field, last one, inline edit support. Did I give any component called Apex inline edit support? Right? No. So go back to this one. Now what we need to pass? We need to pass ID. Why we need to pass ID? Unless I pass the ID, I will not be able to know the properties here. So when you go to this, what are you getting here? Last one, inline edit support. When I click on this, we are able to get inline. Now, entire page block you want in the inline form. At the page block level, we can give mode equal to inline. No, we don't want in the entire page. We want for a particular section. Then we use Apex inline edit support. Right. No, I want for a particular element, Apex inline support. You want for entire page block. You want for entire page block, then give mode equal to inline edit support. Right. Right, boss? Is the was clear for everyone? Right? Clear for everyone? Right. So this, right about? Yes. Now we need to perform the actions there. Still we are not going. Basically, I was supposed to go to action. Okay, then we'll continue with action. Boss, again I repeat one more time. A component has number of properties, but every property will have some associate topics. Without that associate topics, we will not be able to explain that particular actions. So we are going in a sequence. Whatever that doesn't require association or topics, will be covering that. When the consent topic comes, again we'll repeat the point with the topic here. Because when you are starting with the first element, we cannot go with all the properties which are in the element, because they require some dependencies. So until the dependencies are covered, we will not be able to cover the attributes. Okay. So whatever we are covering now, the basic levels without any dependencies. Once the dependencies are covered, we will come back to the point. Now we are learning Apex page concept. Now, whatever I thought in the Apex, they are not only the topics. Now here we can give controller. When I say controller, I have to call Apex class. Then we have to define how to define an Apex class and how to call it. There is a concept also called extension. Now, if I want to tell the extension, first I have to teach you what is an extension concept. Then I will come back. So whatever the topics that doesn't have any dependencies, will be finishing. When you go to the corresponding topic, again will be used. Okay, it is not A to Z for every element. We need to go hand in hand, because somewhere we have to start it up. Okay, so please do not keep repeating the same question for me. I am answering once for all. There are attributes still will be left out here. They require some dependent concepts. Now the problem is that you open a developer console documentation, see the points. There are 3 points left out in the document. So there is a documentation, they will mention everything in a single line. But when you are learning, you cannot learn it in the same way. When you open a Salesforce documentation, you find all the attributes at one location. Now when you are learning, there is a lot of events like on click, on mouse, on blur. There are a lot of elements which you didn't cover. If you want to cover those, we require a JavaScript. Once you've done the JavaScript, we will come back and see those events. But the point. So we will not be covering every attribute in a single go. Right? Like I told you, here they have a lot of extensions are there, standard controls are there. Now all these elements are there. Now some of them are not covered. Now if you want to know those things, we should know the corresponding topics. So without dependencies, what are there? We'll just to get the basics. Then we get into the concept and we'll come back again. Okay. As I told you, every element has events. Every element has events. Without knowing JavaScript, what is the use of defining the events now? I cannot explain events without knowing the JavaScript. When you cover the JavaScript, we'll say how the events can be applied there. Okay. So there is a sequence or way of learning it. So don't worry. By the end of the course, everything will be covered. Right. This one point. The second point, people are troubling me. Data loader. Data loader is still there. It is pending. It is not covered. I'll be covering it. Okay. So please do not come and ask same question again. We also get irritated. Because it's a strength of 200 people. Every day 10 people coming and asking the same question. Right. Data loader topic is pending. It will be covered to you. Okay. Now we are not closing the batch now. Scheduling it. Okay. Second, the attributes which are there will be covering. So at the end of the course, if something is not covered, ask me. So don't ask me at the middle of the course, this is not covered, that is not covered. Right. At the end, when I say batch is closed, then already I give server's copy, right? By now you'll be making a tick also. Right? Whatever that is left out at the day of when I say batch is closed, on the day if anything is left out, you ask me, I'll be answering it. Right? So till then, there is a sequence of running. So which is better for understanding. Right? So don't worry, the topics will be left or covered. At the end, when I say batch is closed, that day you ask me, the following topics are listed. I will not give the chance for you. Okay. Right. Fine, Amma. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's come back to the story. Now we are going with the next part. We are seeing. Now we are trying to understand actions here. Now we have created the data. The data should be saved to the database. The data we have created, and we are getting this data to be saved to the database. How do you save the data? Now we are taking an input field, you enter the data, and whatever the data we entered, we want this data to be saved to the table. The second point, once we enter the data, okay, whatever the data we had, we want to modify it. Okay, whatever the data we entered, we want the data to be modified. So how the data to be modified? Let us look at the concept here. So here we had a topic here, global actions. Listen carefully, Amma. On every S object, Apex page, standard controller account. Every S object, look at the point. Page block. Account. Then we are going with Apex page block input field, value equal to we have a name, phone, industry, phone, rating. Then we have type, so this is how we have taken. Now the point is, I want to create some buttons here. Apex block. Apex command button, value equal to Apex command button, right. Now look at the format. When I go with page block buttons and save and cancel, look at the point, boss. Salesforce by default defined some actions on every S object. What are those actions? See, this is the standard action which is defined. If you are taking standard controller in the VF page, there are some global actions Salesforce has defined. Save. When I say save this record to the S object. Now when you say save, we have to save to which S object? Whichever the S object you have taken as standard controller. In the Apex page, standard controller equal to account. Whichever the S object we have taken as a standard controller, to that S object we are going to save. Then similarly we have edit, delete, view, list, cancel. What are these? These are the global actions which are defined for every S object in the Salesforce. So any S object you take in the Salesforce, these actions are going to be predefined. So save the record, edit the record, delete, view, list, cancel. Now the point is, if you want to delete the record, I have to provide the ID of the record. Without the ID of the record, I cannot delete. When you simply say delete, which record I have to delete? When I say edit, which record I have to edit? Which record I have to edit? Which record we have to delete? Right? If you want to see a particular record, which record you want to see? Now the point is, if you want to go for save, edit, delete, save. Okay, if you want to go for save, list, cancel, new, we don't require ID of the record. If you need edit, delete, view, we need the ID of the record. Edit, delete, view. Now edit means particular record. Which record I want to edit? Particular record. So tell me ID of the record. Delete. Which record you want to delete? Specify the ID. View. Which record you want to view? Specify the ID. So edit, delete, view. Edit, delete, view. Edit, delete, view. Require ID. Without providing an ID, I cannot provide. So let us take an example for you. I am giving all those functions here, but see which buttons are going to be displayed. Now we have action. Save. Who defined the save? Salesforce. That's why they're called global action. Who defined? We have not mentioned these actions. Salesforce has defined these actions. These actions are available on various. This is how we are getting. Let us see. Save, edit, delete. So let us go back to the next functionality. Now look at the functionalities. Review. When you preview it, look at the point. Save we are getting, cancel we are getting, new we are getting, view. But if you say view, which record you want to view? There is no record. Now we are getting list. Now why are you not getting edit and delete? Why are you not getting edit and delete? You tell me the ID of the record. Which record I have to edit? Which record I have to delete? Now I am entering the data here. Some record I will give. When I told cancel. When I say cancel, reset the data, go back to home page. Who defined this action? Salesforce has defined this action on every object. What is the next one we had? Save. Record is save. Now it is saving the record. Whichever the S object you have given, to that S object it is saving the record. Similarly, go back to the preview. Now view. When I said view, which record? As you not mentioned the ID of the record, we are still on the same page. If you mention the ID of the record, I will go to the particular page, detail page of the record. You have not mentioned the ID of the record, so I came back. Then when you say new, it takes you to what? Creation of new record. Creation of new record. So come back to the next one. list. When it's a list of all the account records. Right, boss? All these actions are what? Defined. So if you want to save the record, you want to save the record, edit the record, delete the record, view, list, cancel, create. Right. The same story I am giving here ID of the record. Look at the point. Same example I was giving. I am giving ID of the record. We got the ID of the record. Now look at this. Edit. We are getting edit and delete. Why are you getting edit and delete? Because you mentioned ID of the record. If you mention the ID of the record, you told which record you want to edit, which record you want to delete. You also mentioned ID of the record, so you are able to specify what record you need. Then I told delete. The particular record was deleted from the. Now who defined these actions? Salesforce defined this action. Who defined this action? Salesforce. Now Salesforce has already defined some global actions like save, edit, delete, view, list. When the Salesforce has already defined the action, why are you going to your own actions? Now, when I click on the save, what is happening? Record is directly getting saved to database. But what is my requirement? Don't save the record directly. Check are there any duplicate records. If there are any duplicate records, throw error message, no duplicate, then only save it. This is the functionality what I need. But what is the standard functionality Salesforce has given? When you save record is saved. But what is the requirement I have? When you want to save, it has to check for the duplicate. If there are any duplicate records, throw error. So whatever the functionality Salesforce is giving, it is not meeting up my requirement. There is a reason why I am going to Apex classes. Because the requirement of mine is not achieved with the standard functionality. Standard functionality says, okay, save the record. But what I require, check the duplicate. If duplicate is found, throw error message. No duplicate is found, then save the record. The second one. Now I have a requirement. Once the record is saved, I want to send an email. But it's saving the record, not sending the email. Then again, I am going for a custom functionality. So what are the global actions Salesforce has defined? Save, edit, delete, create, view, list, cancel. So let me mention the points here. So meanwhile, I'll type the data for you. Meanwhile, you can create it. Meanwhile, you can create the page. Now, I want the complete block to be in inline edit. I want the complete block to be in inline edit. I want the complete block to be in inline edit. Now what I wrote, I need the buttons with actions. But here, the second page block section I have only one column per row. The second page block section what I have? One column per row. We have only one column per row. Entire page block should be in edit mode. Entire page block should be in edit mode. Right. So all the concepts are covered in this example. Whatever we have seen, except input field, we have done everything in this. Try to build this example. Try to build this example. So meanwhile, if anyone has any queries, go ahead, Amma. Anyone has any queries on the yes, Amma. When you want to display the data, output field. When you want you to enter the data, input field. So look at this. Now, is he asking you to enter the data or displaying the data? Enter the data. It is input field. Right. When you are trying to display the data, he is asking you to enter the data or displaying the data. You display, what is this called? Output field. Right. Yes, any other queries?
So standard functionality can be used for both standard and custom objects.
Yes, Amma. When you say S object, it can be a standard object or custom object. Right. Any other queries from anyone else? So how we are building this? So here we get standard control. So the reason for taking all my examples in standard object is everybody has the same objects in your org, so that you can practice. When I build a custom object and do it, you will not be having the same objects in your org, so you will not be able to execute the same program. There's a purpose I was taking with the standard objects, but you can try the same with the standard objects and custom objects. My intention behind taking the standard object is when you copy the program, the program will execute even in your org, because same objects are there in your every org, same fields are there in every org. That's the reason I will show interest towards the taking the standard objects, so that everybody will have same objects. Okay, but you can try this with the standard objects and custom objects. So I told account Wipro. Apex. Then I was giving here account name. We had the Apex page block buttons, location. What are the buttons I asked you to give? Apex command button, value equal to. I might have changed the order. There I have given edit, save, right? Command button. Right. Then we are going with the next one. What we are supposed to do? Take page block. Collapsible equal to false. Then what is the data? Please meet your mic, comma. Name, industry, phone, rating. Is it an input or output? Online, please mute your mic. Then I had output field. If the order is missing, you can rearrange them. This is how I give. The next one more page block section. Other. Collapsible false. Then I told number of columns are. The second one I told number of columns equal to what? So I had output field value equal to type active. So this is how we are going for it. So have a quick preview of the data. So what you are supposed to do? Refer to any one of the record. Was that ID equal to, I think I deleted the record. That record was deleted. So it's throwing error message there. So go back. So this is how we got the data. So basically we received page block first one. In the page, header, page block buttons, section. In that we have output fields. Then we are not getting any inline edit here. So now, as you are not getting inline edit, you decide you want the edit for entire page, edit for a particular element. You want the edit for a particular element, put the inline edit in particular, put the element in the inline edit. I want inline edit only for this. I want the edit support for only this element. Right. Now I want the inline edit for only the block. Then as per your requirement, if you want, where you want the inline edit support to be given for entire block, or for a particular section, or a particular element. Whatever I put within the inline edit support for the element, we are going to get inline edit. Now, if I want the inline edit support to be given for entire block, entire page block, then now we take the concept of mode equal to inline edit. Now you got the story here. Now when I am going for inline edit support for the page block, you want the entire block, page block to be given in the inline. Now if you want inline edit for only one element, put that element in the inline edit support. Now you want the inline edit for the entire section, put that section within the inline edit support. Now I want entire page block to have inline edit support, then go for mode equal to inline edit support. This is the concept of that inline edit support for page block as a mode. Now we got the point here. So why you are taking a mode equal to inline edit support? If you want entire page block to have inline edit support operation, then we go for it. No, you want for a particular element, put inline edit support within that inline edit support, put what are the elements we need. Right. Now you want, I don't want to define, I have 40 sections. In every section I need inline edit support. For every element I need inline edit support. If you want entire page to have that inline edit support, then we take mode equal to inline edit. That's how. I hope now you are clear with this. What are the 4 attributes you have seen? Detail, which is background gray, lines between the elements. Only when you take input field, input text, output text, input text. I will not cover those. Actually, I will be covering the mode after these two also. But now input field, input text, output text. When you take these 4, then you get that lines. Second, mode equal to main detail. Then what is it? Background white, but you get the lines. Mode equal to edit. No lines, no collapsible section. No lines, no collapsible section. Okay, no lines, no collapsible section. One extra advantage is the section, standard sections are also coming. Now, when you say input field, we are only getting, when you say input field, we are only getting properties of a field. Now, along with the properties, standard sections which are there, we want to get it. Along with this, we want to get the standard sections. Even the standard sections I want. Now, even the standard sections I want. When you want the standard sections also, then we go with the mode equal to edit. I hope you're good. So, now tell me, this what mode is this? What was this mode? This is edit mode. This is edit mode. So, what was this? Input field, page block was given in edit mode. Page block was given in edit mode. That's the reason why you are not getting lines here. Okay. There are no lines, right? There is no lines. Go back. And you are also not getting any sections here. Now, go back to any one of the record. So, tell me what is the mode of this? What was this? Main details. What was this? Main detail. Edit mode, there was a main detail. But you want the lines to be given. You want edit mode, but lines should be given. Then I will go for mode equal to detail. When I say mode equal to detail, what happened? Background color will come, lines will come. Background color will come, lines will come. Right? You want the lines to be displayed between the elements here. You want the lines to be displayed between the elements. We require mode equal to main detail. But standard functionality, edit means edit mode. Detail means display. Main detail means without background color. Simple funda. Edit, detail, main detail. Inline edit is separated. What was that concept? That is to provide access of inline edit. That inline edit will come only for output fields. When the field is a readable field, then only we go for inline edit support. That inline edit support will not come from input fields. So that inline will come only after you go for output field. When you created output fields, when you're displaying output fields, for the output fields, you want to provide inline edit, then I go for inline edit support. Inline edit support is coming on the top of output field. Inline edit support is coming on the top of output field. Right, Amma? Fine? Everybody is good with this? That's all from my end for the day. Yes, ma'am. No, you will not get it. You will not get it.